Hey, this is Antonio. Welcome back to my channel. I'm working on some fighting words. But before we go any further, as always, I need for you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. So, like I said, Wilder versus Fury is done. That chapter is over in Tyson Fury's life. I know he's 100% happy about that. I don't foresee him ever thinking or worrying or talking about Deontay Wilder ever again. But the question for this video is, what's next for Wilder? A lot of people are talking about retirement. Like boxing is so funny. It's so quick to retire fighters. The UFC, you can have like 10, 12 losses, and be like 40 years old. And they're like, we'll see what he can do next time or whatever. But boxing, no, you get a loss, you got to go. Oh, you're in your 30s? Oh, you definitely have to go. Like, what are you talking about? Like, it's weird, but there's a lot of hate in boxing. Like, just say something like that. It's time for you to go. You have two losses, but to the same guy. So technically, I just kind of look at it like one loss, but it is technically two losses. But what are you talking about? Deontay Wilder lost to, hands down, the best heavyweight boxer of the last 20 years, hands down. So 15 years, hands down. What's there to be sad about? Yeah, I mean, yeah, you lost. I mean, be sad about the fact that you lost. But at the same time, what's there to be sad about? You lost to the guy who's arguably, not arguably, the best. You know, he's the best. He's the best out there. At that weight, he's the best out there. You got to put him, listen, it's not just Gypsy, it's Gypsy King. He's got the crown right now. He's got the crown right now. And Deontay Wilder was the most ferocious and feared heavyweight in the last, 5, 10 years. So, the best boxer in the last 15 years versus the most feared and ferocious boxer in the last, 5, 10 years met. And Tyson won. But if you lost to the best guy, that's no reason for you to hold your head low. And not to mention, you pushed the best guy to his brink. You knocked him down twice. You almost went the distance, and you were fighting a lot. You were fighting an uphill battle, but you were fighting nonetheless. And you did what you said you wanted from the second fight, which is to go out on your shield. So, I don't think he should look down on himself, and I certainly don't think this means he's out of boxing, because Deontay Wilder, there's a lot of great fights out there for him. And technically, Deontay Wilder still beats a lot of those guys. Deontay Wilder beats Anthony Joshua. He beats Anthony Joshua. Deontay Wilder is gonna beat Ortiz again. He beat Andy Ruiz. He beat a lot of these guys. He can beat Joe Joyce. He can beat Joe Joyce. He can beat Joe Joyce. He beats a lot of these guys. I don't see how Usyk is gonna stand with him, because Usyk does get hit. At heavyweight, he gets hit a lot, because of that extra weight. He gets hit. And there's still room for Deontay Wilder. That's basically what I'm getting at. There's still room for him in the heavyweight division. It's not sayonara, have a great life. No, there's definitely still a place for him. A great example of this would be like the welterweight division. Earl Spence is he climbed his way to the top, but that doesn't mean we don't want to see Keith Thurman anymore. We don't want to see Danny Garcia anymore. No, we still want to see those guys. We want to see Sean Porter versus Terrence Crawford. We want to see that. That's going to be a good fight. That's going to be an amazing fight, actually. But we want to see that. So there's definitely still room for Deontay Wilder. For now, I think the best thing for him to do is to heal up and recoup, and get this get this right. I think it's going to be easier for him to get his mind right, because the last time around he believes he was wrong. He believed he got cheated. So in believing that he got cheated, there's a lot of animosity, a lot of that word vengeance kept popping up. But with this fight, he got beat fair and square. So he can rest better at night knowing, all right, this time I just got beat fair and square. no harm, no foul. You know, as opposed to what really happened that night. No, no harm, no foul. I got beat fair and square. So it is what it is. I think it's going to be easier for him mentally to recoup, and I think he'll hit the ground running. He's learned a lot of new things with Malik Scott, and they have a great relationship. And you saw a lot of those things coming in the fight, but again, there was a lot of factors. One, you're just fighting a guy who's just a better boxer than you, and then two, you probably should have came in the way you came in. Um, Three, you need to know when to abandon a certain move, punch, technique, whatever that isn't working. We can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again. You know, that's what happened with Mike Tyson in the end of his career. He just kept doing the same thing. Well, worst case scenario, I hit hard. Yeah, but you still gotta connect it. It's like you gotta connect it. We gotta try something new. We can't. One of the things that makes Lomachenko such a hard puzzle to solve is because he's constantly throwing something new at you. Like he's constantly throwing something new at you. That's what makes him a hard puzzle to solve. Um, but I definitely think there's still room. And honestly, having Deontay Wilder around in the heavyweight division makes it fun because you have a guy who could literally knock anybody out on any given night. Not even a question, regardless of who it is. He could still knock out Fury. I mean, he knocked him down. He knocked Fury down on wobbly legs. So what do you think he could do if he had a good clean shot? He could knock anybody down, and he's fun to watch, and he's great. And when it comes to press conferences and things like that, he's fun to watch. He's good TV. He's good excitement. So let's not be so quick to kick him out. Let's not be so quick to kick him out. It's not like boxing has a ton of personalities because it doesn't right now. It doesn't have a ton of personalities. Not everybody is a Tyson Fury or an Adrian Broner or a Floyd Mayweather. You don't have a ton of personalities. So, let's just hold on to this one because, again, it's his second loss, but to the same opponent. It's not like the heavyweight division is having its way with him and everybody's beating him. No, it's to the best guy in the division, hands down. What are you talking about? So I think we really need to check that. As boxing fans, be so quick to throw out our champions or our ex-champions or, give the guy a break. He tried. Believe me, he tried. Look, after, I believe it was after round 9, you could have stopped the fight and be like, all right, this is not going anyplace remotely healthy. Let's just stop the fight. No, he kept going to his feet, kept raising his hand in victory. He was trying. He was definitely trying. I'm not saying he was doing it for you or myself, but we're the ones who are being blessed with the entertainment. There's room for him. There's still great matches out there. Still very great matches out there. One in particular was Dillian White. So Malik Scott did a post-fight interview with BT Sport, and he was talking about Dillian White. And he's like, listen, I wouldn't mind seeing Deontay Wilder fight Dillian White. I mean, honestly, who wouldn't mind Deontay Wilder fighting Dillian White? Who in their right mind doesn't want to see that fight? Seriously, who in their right mind does not want to see? I don't care if you're a fan of boxing or not. Who doesn't want to see Deontay Wilder and Dillian White get in the ring and settle all their grievances and differences? Because they've been beefing for years, easily 4 years. They've been beefing. So I would love to see that. And Dillian White's going to bring it. Dillian White is not somebody who's going to do the ollie shuffle and dance around the ring. No, Dillian White's coming right at you. And Dillian White also has an equalizer. So that will be a very interesting showdown that, like I said, I definitely wouldn't mind watching. I think it has a whole lot of intrigue, and it would also keep Deontay Wilder in the mix, with a big name. Because the reality is, when are we going to see Wilder versus AJ or Fury versus AJ? When are we realistically going to see these fights? You know how hard it took to get Wilder and Fury in the ring? And it's proven that AJ seems to be the guy who's hard to get in the ring. So when are we going to see these fights? So a Deontay Wilder versus Dillian White fight, I would not mind. In no way, shape, or form would I mind. I think it brings violence. It doesn't bring a high level of boxing, but it does bring violence, which is what I mean, listen, if you're looking at a heavyweight fight, you want to see some violence. You want to see somebody get knocked spark out, as our brothers across the pond would say. And that's true. That's what you want to see. You want to see somebody get laid out, floored. And you put those two in the ring, somebody's getting laid out and floored. Period. Like, it ain't going to be a long night. Don't blink. Run out of popcorn. Suffer through it, because it ain't going to be a long night. Malik Scott really went in on Deontay Wilder and Dillian White. He was worried about, he was like, I think he should be able to get past Otto Wallen, but that's a good fight to have. He was also asked, what do you think Wilder's going to do? You think he's going to retire? And he's like, I highly doubt that. He's like, well, I know the guy personally, not just as his coach or not just as a sparring partner or an ex-opponent. I know him personally. He's like, I highly doubt that. It's not about money with him. I highly doubt that. And I don't think, and just, no fighter wants to leave the game like that. No fighter wants to leave on a loss. No fighter of his magnitude wants to leave on a loss, especially not like that. My last picture of Deontay Wilder is him laid out on the canvas. I don't think he wants that. And, I mean, who am I to say what he wants? But I'm pretty sure he doesn't want that. He doesn't want that to be yours nor my last image of him in the ring. Not everybody is a marvelous Marvin Hagler. But I'm out of here. I tried it. You guys cheated me again. I'm gone. I don't think Wilder is that type of guy. Look what he went through just to get this fight. I don't think he's that type of guy. I really don't. I don't think he's riding off on his high horse at this point. Well, definitely not a high horse, but I don't believe he's riding off into the sunset, meaning. No, I definitely think he'll be back. I definitely think there's a place for him, and I definitely think there's a place for him in the heavyweight division where he is competitive. Again, I have to say it again. Deontay Wilder got bested by the best boxer, hands down, last 15 years, the best heavyweight boxer out there. So to suggest that he's finished, no. If anything, that could also work on the other side where it gives him a sense of pride. Like, I went 11 rounds with the man, the dude, the guy, the king. He could say that. And then he could look at the rest of the division and be like, easy work. If I can go 11 rounds with that dude, easy work for you guys. Easy work. And still be competitive, which is why it's not a crazy thing. Number one, the heavyweight division is not that deep. So it's not that crazy if we actually see Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury 4. Not that crazy because it wouldn't be hard for him to work his way back up. I mean, honestly speaking, Deontay Wilder could probably have 2 fights and be back in Fury's face. He could fight like Dillian White or Joe Joyce and AJ and be right back in Fury's face in like a year or two. Probably like 2 years. It's possible. It's possible. It could happen. It could definitely happen. You could have 2 fights in 1 year. It could happen. So it's not crazy. It's not some outlandish thought. It could happen. The heavyweight division is not that stacked to where Deontay Wilder has to crawl his way back up from the mud. No, like 2 fights and he's actually back in position. So it could happen. And again, I wouldn't be mad watching Wilder Fury 4, to be honest with you. Look, every time they fight, it gets better and better and better. So I'm not mad. I am not mad at that. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to say in this video. I wish that boxing fans would stop putting, boxers down, especially champs. That man deserves a lot of credit. Let me just say this. He deserves a lot of credit. I'm talking about a man who entered the game at 1920? Who does that? Crawled his way up, got a bronze medal? Who does that? Then he gets the title and reigns for as long as he did? Come on. Who does that? Seriously. Who does that? We got to give the guy respect. He went up against the best fighter of this era. And yes, he got stopped. But man, did he fight tooth and nail for it. Man, did he stick in there. Come on. So let's stop with, just bashing our fighters. Like, seriously. It's that's the reason why boxing, is sinking, because we're so quick to get rid of what we have and who we have in terms of the fighters that are present for us. But those are my thoughts, and please like and subscribe.